so we have with me here is actually the 3 generations of the WM series. On my extreme left here in green, it's the WM01, in the middle, WM02, and on the right here is WM03. So you can see how Baseus have actually progressed the WM series, over the last 3 years. The first, of course, very obvious is regarding the casing itself, the lid. WM01 is opaque, second generation is transparent, third generation is translucent. Next is the shape. You can see that the first 2 generations, they retain the same shape and size of the charging case, whereas the third generation, they deviate completely. Right now, it's actually, instead of a boxy, more of a box shape, it has become a pill shape. Of course, all 3 generations have the company name printed on top of the lid. Next, let's move to the front. Right, so you can see all 3 generations have the same Eclipse lid opening and a single LED light on the front. Bottom, you can tell that the second generation and the third generation have some information printed on the bottom. There's nothing on the first generation. Let's look at the back. So here you can see that all 3 generations uses USB-C charging port, with a bit of difference whereby the second generation, WM02 and WM03, the third generation, they have the Baseus Rapid Charge, which is the screenshot, which is you can actually tell by the orange color USB-C charging port. Next, beside that, I'm not too sure you can see very clearly, is that there's a physical button on WM03, but on the first 2 generations, there's none. Look at the sides. Over here, it's angled upwards. Third generation is also angled slightly upwards, but it's relatively straight for the first generation. Next, let's look at the inside, the interior of the case, where it houses the earbuds. So you can tell instantly the difference. First generation is kind of vertical with the earbuds facing down. Second generation, the earbuds are again vertical, but the earbuds facing upwards. And on the third generation, it's tilted at an angle with the earbuds facing down. Next detail you'll notice is the utilization of the space within the earbuds itself. So you can see over here, the first 2 generations, they maximize the space. But over here on the third generation, it kind of only utilized the bottom half of the case, with the top half of the case matte and with the product name printed here. Another thing you also realize is the printing of the left and right. On the first 2 generations, it's actually very difficult to tell because of the matte background. It's not very easy to tell the indication of the left and right. But for the third generation, it's very easy to tell because the background is actually glossy finishing. So you can actually easily tell the left and right earbud signage indication from any angle. Right. Next, you can also tell is the touch control area. So this is WM01. You can see that it actually has a LED light cutout at the top, and then a microphone inlet at the bottom, and then on the side, rubber padding. WM02 is very different. You can see a ring LED light here, and then a cutout for the microphone. On the side, rubber pad. But for the WM03, you can see a ring LED light here, and then on the side, you can see a microphone. It's now moved to the side instead of at the top or the bottom, together with the touch input, and then the metal air vent. So in terms of the earbud themselves, so over here you can tell instantly that WM03 is bigger compared to the first 2 generations. And the color treatment is very different. The finishing is very different as well. The first 2 generations are actually matte throughout. But for the third generation, only the top half is actually matte. The bottom half is actually glossy. Ear tip on the third generation is actually way out. Okay? So from this angle, you can tell that this one is way out. Okay, but this 2 generation, it's kind of still in line with the left margin, but this one is out of the left margin. And not only that, bring up closer to the camera, you can actually tell the difference. in the material quality, covering the audio outlet. The first 2 generations is actually using plastic. On the 3rd generation is actually using metal. So the first generation is using 3 poker pins, 2nd generation is using 2, 3rd generation is using 2. And the size is also a little bit different as well, right? A bit smaller on the first 2 and a bit bigger on the 3rd one. Alright, so this has actually been my comparison of the 3 generations of the WM series. So let me know what you think down in the comment section below.